Welcome to AMA 50, the podcast where you ask us anything and we give you three AMA-zing answers in 50 seconds. In this fast advice improv show, our hosts are challenged to answer questions in 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and 5 seconds, respectively, one after another, all under a minute. Thank you for listening to our random, fun life advice podcast. But our word to the wise, we are not life experts, so follow our advice at your own risk. My name is Kirsten, and I'm joined by my three co-hosts, Shay,
Hi.
Will,
Hello.
and Amy.
Hi.
We are also joined by our very special guest, Sarah. Who are you, and what makes you qualified to give life advice?
Hi, guys. My name is Sarah. I've known Will and Shay for a while, since we were little wee children. I don't, I hesitate to say what qualifies me to give life advice, but I've lived just like everyone else and made mistakes and learned from them. So hopefully we can all just learn together.
I love that. I think you're totally qualified. That qualifies you, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, what is AMA 50? AMA 50 is an improv game geared towards answering questions in the funniest and most concise way possible. I developed this game with the help of the amazing A-Pre improvisers, RIP. We will be answering questions from all over in under a minute. Sarah's zooming in from overseas, and the questions for today's episodes also come from faraway lands. Amy, tell us about our special source of questions for today.
Yes, so today, as Kirsten introduced earlier, we have our special guest, Sarah, for our AMA 50 game today. And she has provided all of our questions. And in Sarah's time abroad this year in Europe, she has amassed a plethora of questions from all of the Europeans she has come across wondering about life in the United States. So we'll be answering their questions here today in AMA 50 style, which is 3 different ways each. Just to clarify, that is not in 3 different languages. They'll have to use their own translator, or they'll just have Sarah for that.
Awesome. We'll be right back.
After these messages. Woo!
And we're back. Let's play our first round.
Okay. A European asks, why do Americans ask, how are you, if you don't really care? Will, you have 30 seconds. Shay, you have 15. Kirsten, you have 5.
Okay, 30 seconds. Yeah, this always used to bother me because I'm like, you don't really care. Like I could get into it and like you don't want to hear that. They just want to hear, "Oh, I'm good. How are you?" But I've realized over time it's just become a touchstone, and I think every society, every culture kind of has that, in their language. In fact, I've even heard in Europe, people will say sorry a lot, and I feel like they don't really mean it, but whatever.
England call out.
Right.
All right. 15 seconds. So yeah, like Will said, I think it's not really so much a question as it is kind of like a social convention, as in this is the formula to start a conversation. How are you doing? Fine. You don't really need to go into that much detail if you don't know someone.
Okay, 5 seconds. They ask you because they want to be asked.
Ooh.
Deep.
All right.
Hmm.
Our next question. A European asks, America is a big country. Why are you voting for 2 very old men for president?
Note from the editor, this episode of AMA 50 was recorded before President Joe Biden withdrew his candidacy for re-election.
Sarah, you have 30 seconds. Will, you have 15 seconds. And Shay, good luck. You have only 5.
Okay, so the complicated and some would say outdated structure of the Electoral College is what I would say is the main reason. It's very difficult to describe to Europeans, and they're often shocked to hear it. But I think that we're really voting on behalf of our states rather than the country as a whole. And when you do that, you end up with people who just have money and power and influence over all 50 states, as opposed to people who might be correct for the job.
All right. That was the American government in 30 seconds. Thank you very much. Will, you have 15 seconds.
I think people get really hung up on ideas, like the idea of what they want this country to be. And I would also say it's a lack of foresight.
Note from the editor. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Shay, you have 5 seconds.
All right. Fast answer is the system is broken.
Yes.
Woo!
Yep.
Wow.
There you have it.
That's all I can say in 5 seconds.
No, that's fair. Fair and true. Anyway, a European asks, do Americans ever make coffee at home or do they always buy it out? Amy, you have 30 seconds. Sarah, 15, and Will, 5.
Okay. So I typically am a culprit of this, but this morning and during this podcast, if you could see me, I am drinking coffee that I made at home. However, I do believe it just tastes better when you get it made by someone else. And it's just so aesthetically pleasing to like sit at a coffee shop with a croissant and like drink it there and be like, look at me, I'm doing this. I'm relaxing. And if I make it at home, I feel like I'm doing it because I'm rushed for some reason. But yeah, that's why.
We do make it at home, but sometimes the American live to work grind makes us lose our will to survive a little bit. And we just need a little treat at the end of the day to keep us going.
I personally guzzle my French press coffee because I can drink as much as I want.
Yep.
That I make at home, by the way.
Mm,
Sorry, that wasn't very clear.
It was just
Personal
like I drink a
coffee.
lot of the coffee from wherever it comes from.
Yeah.
Wherever.
Yep. Coffee comes from where it's convenient to come from. If I'm in a rush or not. All right. So a European asks, why do Americans like Target so much? Isn't it just a big store? Don't you have malls? Kirsten, you have 30 seconds. Amy, you have 15. Sarah, you have 5. Go ahead, Kirsten.
Okay, I'll answer the second question first. Yes, we have malls. However, they are a dying breed. Like, if you go through a mall, you're definitely going to pass a lot of empty stores, and that leaves us with big stores. Target, yes, it's just a big store, and we want that mall experience, but we can't have it. So departments will have to do.
Yeah. All right. Amy, you have 15 seconds.
Okay, I don't know if it's just me or not, but there's something about a Target where I'm always surprised what I will find in the Target. So like I'll go in and be like, I need toothpaste. But then I'll be like, look, oh my goodness, they have cute pillows. And I'll see the cute pillow and I'll need to get it. And that's why it's just a surprise every time.
Sarah, 5 seconds.
Okay, Target is a cult. Target is a lifestyle. Live, laugh, love Target.
Oh,
Yes.
Target. I'll come to Target with a list, but then Target will tell me what I need.
We did
Yes.
a really good job in Target yesterday. We only got the things that were on our list, I
There
think.
Oh my God. Self-control win. I'm
The
so
extra
proud of
things were
you.
things that we definitely needed but didn't think of, like wrapping paper.
So like
Oh,
a practical thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I think that's what gets you is because it's like you're like, oh, it's practical, so I should just buy it right now because it's right here,
Exactly.
and I should just get it while it's
yep,
here in front of me at Target.
as one does.
We got to get our Stanley Cup but they've
Oh
already sold
God.
out.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, we can always go check. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
That's the best segue.
And we're back. Let's play our final round.
So, a European asks, why do Americans travel to their ancestors' small little villages if there is nothing interesting there? Sarah, you have 30 seconds to answer.
Okay. A lot of Americans' ancestors came here through either immigration from a country that had war or famine, or through slavery. So we can't forget that. So there was a lot of trauma bonding to the capital A American culture, apple pie, a sense of gumption. And a lot of people felt like they had to leave their old cultures behind. So naturally, we're curious about what our history looked like before, McDonald's.
Very nice. Uh, Kirsten, with 15 seconds, why are we going back to these small villages?
I agree that people are curious about where they came from. And also there's that important factor. They have nothing better to do. Literally nothing. So they might as well go visit some town somewhere.
Wow, thank you.
True.
Shay, with just 5 seconds, there's nothing interesting there. Why go back?
To feel like you're part of something, like a sense of cultural disconnect.
All right, thank you.
This one is going to be very interesting. A European asks, can I say someone is black? Will, you have 30 seconds. Sarah, you have 15, and Kirsten, you have 5. All right, Will.
America.
Yes, I can't wait to give the 100% correct answer to this question. In my lifetime over here, we would say African American a lot because it was distinctual. However, over time, I feel like it's evolved to that can be exclusionary because someone might not be African, someone might not be American. So black has become just that umbrella term to use.
All right. Sarah, you have 15 seconds.
Okay, so usually when people ask me this, my answer is just yes, you can. For example, Barack Obama was the first Black American president. If you close your eyes, you can still imagine what hope feels like in this election era.
I really want to know if they ask you this question often.
They do. They do. Out of wanting to be polite, but yeah.
All right, Kirsten, you have 5 seconds.
Okay, you can call someone black if they've said that they're black.
Yeah. That makes very much.
Yeah.
A
That's
good
the most practical common sense answer. All right. A European asks, do Americans really wear shoes in the house? Do you have slippers? Amy, you've got 30 seconds. Will, 15. Sarah, 5. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay. Yes, I sometimes wear shoes in the house, but sometimes I take them off because I just washed my floors and I don't want to get them dirty just yet. And yes, I do have slippers. However, I rarely wear them. A friend got them for me, and one says bagels and the other one says schmear, and they're adorable, but I just always forget to wear them, for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, it's out of politeness. Sometimes I do tell people to take their shoes off when they come into my house, but it's fine. I like being
All
barefoot.
right. Will, you've got 15 seconds.
Yeah, I'm definitely an outside shoe, take them off at the door household. But I love to wear, I have house Crocs that I like to wear because they're really comfortable. So those are like my slippers. And yeah.
Excellent. Sarah, you've got 5 seconds.
It generally depends if you live in the city or the countryside, if you're a guest or a host. and if you clean often or you hire someone to clean often.
Yep. That's real. That's real.
Okay, a European asks, why do Americans say everything is perfect and amazing? Do you really believe this? Are you happy with your life? Kirsten, you have 30 seconds to really answer this question. It's the hardest one of the bunch, I think. Shay, you have 15, and Amy, you have 5 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to give the 100% correct answer to this question. Are we happy with our lives? No. No, we're not. Do we believe that everything is perfect and amazing? No. But have you heard of manifestation? If we say everything is perfect and amazing, then it'll call the vibes to us and perfect and amazing will come.
Yes.
I love that. My 15 seconds. So whenever I say that, I generally mean this ironically. That's just the irony should be palpable in text accompanied by a bunch of upside down smiley face emojis.
In summary, no, we are not.
We are not perfect. We are not amazing.
We are not.
We are manifestors. So someday it may be.
What can I say? We're Americans. We keep trying to manifest our destiny.
Let's go do some manifesting some destiny. We'll be right back. And we're back. Any final thoughts on the rounds? Any questions, answers that we didn't get to answer?
I want to thank the Europeans for giving us this time to for us Americans to really reflect upon ourselves. It was good, to kind of be reminded of what our lives are and how we are perceived in the world. I think that's really important. So, we can talk about these things and manifest these things to be better.
I do have a question.
Ooh, I want to know.
Do they not go out and buy coffee?
Okay, here's the thing. They do. They do for sure. Though I guess it's more of a younger generation thing. So I think like the older generation is like, make it at home.
Yeah. And it's not like a 32-ounce Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee.
Coffee
like
is
here.
smaller. I will give them
Yeah.
that. It's not like an IV being injected into their veins throughout the day at any given moment. So it is a bit more relaxed, but they have iced coffee. Not as much ice you would have back home, but hey.
Yeah, ice is one of those unique American things, I feel.
Yeah.
We love ice and we love
putting ice
coffee.
in everything.
It is. I miss it. I'm
Yeah.
glad to have the opportunity to listen to your answers because now I'll have a better idea for what to say the next time someone asks me. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Also just like, the perceived like the question for like, yes, we know that things are not great.
Our malls aren't great.
Yeah.
Our
Ugh.
government isn't great. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we see it. This is that meme, that cartoon of the dog in the room on fire going, "This is fine.
He's
Everything's amazing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always like to ask our guest that comes in, Sarah, how did you feel playing this game with us? And was this a cool way to kind of answer in multiple ways, all these questions?
Yeah, no, I loved it. Thank you for having me, you guys. This was really fun. And it was definitely a creative way to think about these answers because, in a way, I'm trying to improv my answers on the spot. So now I have some, now I have some inspiration going forward, and maybe some more creative and elegant ways to spin these facts for everyone. I sometimes feel like I have to be, sometimes I feel the pressure to not succumb to a stereotype when I'm talking to people, because I don't want to sell out my fellow Americans. I want to give a good impression on everyone that I meet when I'm traveling.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that in conversations every day, no matter where I am.
Everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like it's so funny, especially if it's a question that's drawing upon like your experience or your livelihood, and you're like, but I want to say the best thing possible, and that's not possible all the time. However, I think playing, this game like this, Shay said once that this helps with mental flexibility. So it's like you have like all the pieces are in there to kind of connect the dots and say, however you want to say something in the best way possible. So games like this kind of just help out with that.
Yeah, I think it's a very useful skill for most areas in your life, I would say. My worst fear is if somebody asks me a geography question, because I feel like I feel like I'm fairly okay at geography. However, I do know that there's a stereotype against Americans that we are not good at it. So every time I'm like, God, like
I
Because
will say,
I
in
can't
our
embarrass myself.
defense, America's huge and we memorize the 50 states. Ask like anybody, to point out every state on a map in the capital. Like they're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Also,
and their geography keeps changing. So
That too.
and I think like I do think Americans as a whole, like we are bad at geography because
mm,
I met someone who lived in Greece for most of his life at one point, and I told him like, oh, a quarter of my family is from this one small town in Greece that used to be Turkey, that used to be Greece, and he was able to tell me the exact year that that land became Turkey, that that land became Greece, and the wars that happened to like make it that differentiation, and then like all the surrounding like the areas around it. And I was like, how do you know this? He goes, oh, it's just basic common knowledge. They teach you this. And I'm like, we don't learn it that way. Like we learn, like Shay said, the 50 states, and like we're able to pinpoint certain states we've been to. But like I think there are people in like European or Asian areas or even like parts of Africa who are able to say like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah. I
every
think it's
single
also
thing.
just scale though, too. Because if you're in like, yeah, Greece, small countries, so you're gonna know, a lot more you're gonna get a lot more details in, your like history and geography class, where a lot of Americans are like, we're just trying to cover such a broad
Yeah.
swath of land and specific history. And like how kind of like a European said, like each state is almost like a different country. Like you're gonna go, Pennsylvania and like Will, you were just in California. Pennsylvania and California are like different planets sometimes. So there's also keeping that in mind.
yeah, and to be fair, they don't know much about our history. To be honest, people thought that the Revolutionary War and the Civil War were the same thing. So they thought it was like at the same time. It was funny. I actually watched Hamilton with some people
Ah,
here, and they were like, "What the hell is this?" So they didn't. The only person they knew was George Washington. So I think it goes both ways, but I think Americans have kind of because America is viewed, it comes kind of down to like land mass versus country. Like we have such a large land mass that it makes us kind of isolationist, whereas other places that vastness of land would cover different countries. So they would learn about the people in their vicinity,
hmm.
I guess.
Hmm.
And the ocean kind of between us and the rest of the world on both sides makes it less of a not less of a concern, but like I guess less of a main priority for some
Yeah.
people. I still think
And
it's
it's harder for Americans to travel abroad too. So there's so many Americans who never leave the country. And so it's like, for a lot of people, it's just not super relevant information, just like, economically preventative, but also, you can still say, oh, I travel all the time, but have never left the United States.
Yeah,
But
so
you still are constantly traveling. So
and
it's just different perspective.
yeah, it's hard for people to get time off because we're not allotted, a certain amount from the government. It's people who are in the middle of the country. It will take them so long to get out of it. And then, there's the time difference. We have a different measurement system, all the different languages you have to learn that are not part of regular education. You have to kind of go outside of regular education to actually get a working knowledge of a language. So I think that there is a lot that doesn't quite come across in translation when it comes to which Americans are able to travel and which ones are not. And a lot of that comes to circumstance, not necessarily personality or beliefs, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think some of them are really funny in their approach to how they view us. Like, for example, someone was saying they were going on vacation to Disney World in Florida, and they asked me, yeah, I was thinking of going to New York, just tagging on New York because I really want to see New York City. And I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna be a big trip. Gonna be a very large trip to do New York City and Florida
Yeah.
at
They
the
should
same.
just be happy they have Epcot there.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
Epcot, you can
yeah.
go all over the world and just,
Yep.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
World Showcase, baby.
It's also interesting. Things are both bigger and smaller because our normal like world map is the scale is super messed up of things too. So if you look at like a realistically scaled map, then you get like really like, oh, it's really big. And that's like something that every time I see a realistically scaled map, it kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, like I feel like Africa is made way smaller on the map.
Hmm.
I also feel like South America is way more east than we even realize. Like it has
Hmm.
time zones further into the ocean than I ever realized, at least.
Yeah. Super, super interesting.
Well, Sarah, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, if you'd like to follow me on social media, the best way to do so would be Instagram at Ballantyne, Baluntine. And I would love if you guys gave me any questions that you may have.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for listening today to the AMA 50 podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to submit your own questions to be answered in a future episode, our DMs are open at AMA 50 podcast on Instagram, or send us an email at ama50podcast@gmail.com. And we look forward to your questions. Bye-bye.
Au
Bye,
revoir,
everyone.
auf Wiedersehen, adieu.
Waving.
I'm
Yep,
gonna
we're all
get
waving.
coffee after this.
Skipping questions.
I'm gonna make coffee.